Chapter 9 of Bolo, King of the Floating Island. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Read by Joanna Hui. Bolo, King of the Floating Island by Sidford Frederick Hamp. The Snapdragon Sings. While the dragon was fidgeting about, arranging and rearranging his tail, just like a young lady with her skirts, Margaret slipped behind him to look at the music. It was the queerest music she had ever seen, for it consisted of one big, black semibreve, after which was written ad lib, the same as saying, "Go as you please." On top of the sheet was written, "Margaret's Tea Party," to the tune of Michael Roy, decomposed by Lobsterneck, the great American snapdragon. What a decomposed tune might be, Margaret did not know, though, as soon as the dragon began to sing, she saw what a simple matter it was. She felt sure she could decompose one herself. All you had to do, apparently, was to sing the right notes if you could remember them, and to fill in with notes of your own when you couldn't. By this time, Lobsterneck had arranged his tail to his liking, so Margaret ran back and took her place with the others in front of him, when the dragon, with a preliminary shake to loosen his scales, began to sing. One day when Margaret went out to walk upon the hill, she saw a lovely purple duck who had a yellow bill. Said Margaret to the purple duck, "If you'll come home with me, I'll give you beans and buttered toast and sugar in your tea." "Chorus!" shouted the dragon, when everybody, notwithstanding the fact that they had never heard the chorus before, pitched in and sang, For oh, we're out for a regular spree, and you shall have anything else you'd like if only you'll come to tea." This chorus they sang after each pair of verses, the rest of which were as follows. "I'll come," the purple duck replied, and flapped one little wing, and wagged her tail, she was so glad, and tried her best to sing. But that was more than she could do, and so she merely said, "Quack, quack," and wagged her tail again, and jumped about instead. Then Margaret said, "Suppose we go and see what we can find." So up the hill she walked again, the purple duck behind. They looked behind the stones and trees, they looked behind the wall, and there they found a sky-blue crane, and he was very tall. Said Margaret to the sky-blue crane, "If you'll come home with me, I'll give you macaroni soup and apples with your tea." "Ha ha!" the sky-blue crane replied, and that was all he said. But on the wall he quickly jumped and stood upon his head. And next they saw a chicken house, and Margaret looked inside, and there she found a speckled hen and 7 chicks beside. Said Margaret to the speckled hen, "If you'll come home with me, I'll give you meat and marmalade and spinach with your tea." "Cluck, cluck," the speckled hen replied, "and if it won't be rude, I'll come to tea myself," said she, "and bring my hungry brood." Said Margaret to the little chicks, "If you'll come home with me, I'll give you cakes and cream of wheat and malted milk for tea." "Peep, peep," the little chicks replied, "Our throats are dry with thirst." "Then come," said Margaret, "let us run and see who gets there first." So down they ran, the sky-blue crane, the purple duck, and then the 7 little thirsty chicks behind the speckled hen. The duck had beans and buttered toast and sugar in her tea. The crane had macaroni soup and apples 2 or 3. The speckled hen had spinach too, and marmalade and meat. The chicks had cakes and malted milk, as well as cream of wheat. A splendid supper had they all, as much as they could wish. They emptied every single plate and cleared off every dish. And when they'd eaten all they could, they stood up in a row and made a bow to Margaret, for it was time to go. "We're very much obliged," they said. "We're very glad we came." The duck, the crane, the hen, the chicks, they each one said the same. And when they all got home again upon the hill so steep, they tucked their heads beneath their wings and quickly went to sleep. For oh, we're out for a regular spree, and you shall have anything else you'd like if only you'll come to tea. At the end of the song, while everybody was applauding and crying, "Encore!" the dragon, with his tail hung over his arm, waltzed round and round in a solemn manner until he was out of breath. And when he sat down with his back against the tower and fanned himself with the music. "Very good song," said the king. "Does you credit, drum major? Now, get your breath again and sing us another. Something about Francis this time." "Please do," begged Frances, coming forward with Periwinkle under her arm. "Something about me and Periwinkle, or is that too difficult?" "Not at all," replied Lobsternick. "Simplest thing possible. Just a moment." So saying, he took his fountain pen from behind his ear, and spreading the music on the doorstep of the tower, he scratched out Margaret's tea party and wrote instead, "Francis and the Spotted Pup." Having done so, he sat up straight once more, tucked his pen behind his ear, thumped his chest 2 or 3 times, just to see if his scales were in tune, and began again. One summer day, as Frances went a-walking up the street, she met a little spotted pup who had a piece of meat. Said Frances to the spotted pup, "If you eat all of that, I greatly fear, my little dear, you'll grow a deal too fat." Once more everybody joined in the chorus, though the words were almost entirely different. For oh, there surely is no question that if you gobble your meals too fast, you'll have the indigestion. With his eye fixed on Periwinkle, as if to remind him that he was the subject of his song, the dragon went on. The spotted pup, he shut one eye and gave a little squeak. He could not talk because his mouth was much too full to speak. And then that foolish spotted pup, I wonder he could do it. He swallowed that great piece of meat and never thought to chew it. At first it tasted very good, but pretty soon he cried, oh dear, I greatly fear I have a pain inside. I quite forgot to chew my food, I won't forget again. Boo-hoo, boo-hoo, what shall I do? I have a dreadful pain." When Frances saw the tears run down, they made a little pool. She lifted up the spotted pup and set him on a stool. "Sit there," said she, "I won't be long." The puppy cried, "Alack!" But Frances said, "Be patient now, I'll very soon be back." Away she ran, and back she came. She wasn't gone a minute. She had a bottle in her hand, and there was something in it. "Take this," said she, "and you will be much better very soon." And then she gave him pepsin in a large-sized tablespoon. And pretty soon, as Frances said, the pain had gone away. "Bow wow, I'm better now," the spotted pup did say. And then by every means he knew, by voice and attitude, the spotted puppy did his best to show his gratitude. So Frances patted him and said, "Now don't forget again to chew your dinner, or you'll have another dreadful pain." "I won't," said he, "whatever it be, oatmeal or soup or suet. I'll never will forget again to chew and chew and chew it. For oh, There surely is no question that if you gobble your meals too fast, you'll have the indigestion. End of chapter 9.